Hello action figure fans, this is HammerTron with an action figure overview and ranking. This time I am doing an overview and ranking of the Masters of the Universe Origins Wave 1 action figures and vehicles and animal play sets. I have put all of these items back in the packaging after I reviewed them. I like to keep the packaging for storage, sometimes to display them because the packaging does look very nice. And also, in case I have to move, I want to put them back into packaging. The packaging kept these action figures safe from the factory on the other side of the planet, across the ocean, all the way to America, through the warehouses and through the trucks and other distribution methods to the stores, and then from the store to home. So the packaging is very useful for keeping these action figures in pretty good shape. So I have already opened each of these and reviewed each of these. Some of these were a bit harder to put back in the packaging. I think they rattle around a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit of rattling in this one. I still have to work on putting the pieces back exactly the way they were, but they don't fit in quite the same way because I had to pull them out of the package or out of the plastic tray inside. I tried to do that carefully so that they don't warp or break so I can reuse them. But it just takes a little practice. Some of these, like these single action figures on a blister card, I'm very careful to open from the bottom and pull out the comic book and the accessories and the action figure from there while keeping the top of the package attached, but it's still not very easy and it's a little bit messy, so I'm a little disappointed about how messy that is. Personally, I prefer boxes for the action figure rather than these blister cards. These blister cards look nice, but the boxes are a lot easier to open and close and put everything back. Also, the boxes are a bit neater than these packages, which I ended up ripping up some of the cardboard and ruining some of the nice pictures, but at least the important part is still attached up here, and we can still see the nice pictures on the back, so I like those. So I will take these out and do an overview and ranking of the action figures themselves. Here we have the entire first wave of the Masters of the Universe Origins action figure, along with the mount and the vehicle. So I think it's a pretty nice wave there. We have maybe 5 good guys: Man-at-Arms, Teela, He-Man, Prince Adam, and Battle Cat. Although He-Man and Prince Adam shouldn't be in the same place at the same time because they are actually the same character. But Battle Cat does count as a main character because he did talk in the original cartoon. And then Prince Adam there has the Sky Sled. Against the 3 bad guys, we have Skeletor, Evil-Lyn, and Beastman. So the problem with this wave is that the bad guys, or the evil warriors, are outnumbered and outgunned by the good guys, who have a huge cat and a Sky Sled with weapons, although that Sky Sled could be changed to an evil warrior Sky Sled. The problem with that is, in order to have multiple Sky Sleds, you'd have to have multiple Prince Adam action figures, and I don't think that is what fans or collectors would like. They might like to have several Sky Sleds for the good guys and several Sky Sleds for the evil warriors, and put different characters on them. So I don't think packing Prince Adam with the Sky Sled that can be changed from the heroic warriors to the evil warriors was the best way to sell that particular item. But all in all, it's a pretty nice wave. We have the main characters, the most recognizable characters in the first wave, so I'm pretty happy with the characters they chose. And they do have some weapons, although everything is molded in a single color plastic. So these are the cheapest and lowest priced versions of these characters in action figure form. And for the most part, the action figures do seem to be pretty sturdy, although I noticed that all of them seem to have pretty loose joints, which is surprising considering that I hardly ever touch any of them. I don't really play around with them much. I prefer to put them in a nice display or a diorama, a nice battle scene like this, and then, well, normally my battle scenes would be larger and more spread out, but in order to fit it into the camera here, I had to crowd them all together. So pretty nice looking wave, and I'm looking forward to opening up the other action figures in the Masters of the Universe Origins line to create an even bigger display or diorama or a battle scene. Here is the Masters of the Universe Origins Wave 1 action figures all neatly lined up, and I'm very happy with how these action figures look. They are very brightly colored and they look like the originals. The originals in the 80s, I only had 2 of those, the Prince Adam and a Battle Armor He-Man, which have not survived to today. So I'm very happy to be able to get these new action figures, and I think these new action figures are better than the originals, even though they don't have any spring-loaded action features, which I don't really need. I do prefer the more points of articulation that these have, so there's more posability. I don't need the spring-loaded action features because I'm mostly going to display these or put them in a diorama, so I don't need any play features with it. The extra points of articulation just make them more fun to pose around and gives us more variety for ways to pose them. And the Battle Cat, I think the original did not have any articulation at all, so this one is a very nice Battle Cat with lots of articulation. I was finally able to get this back leg to articulate, so it was just stuck when I did the review before, and I didn't want to push too hard. So it is working pretty nicely, so I'm happy about that. So I'm happy with how Mattel has put in the effort to make these action figures look like the originals but improve on them, so excellent job, Mattel. I do have some criticism. The criticism is about the packaging. I do like how the packaging looks. It looks like the original packaging with a nice cardboard piece here, but it's a blister card. I would prefer a little box here so that it's easier to open and close. This, I think, will eventually fall apart, so I'm not happy about that. But I do like the backs where the different characters have different artwork there, and I do like the cross-cell, so it's just like the 1980s, so very nice looking packaging. I would just prefer a box that's easier to open and close, that makes it easier for storage, moving around, and it could be a nice way to display it as long as we have a nice big window to see the action figure and accessories. The other criticism is the mini comic that came with the action figures. The mini comic came with 6 of these action figures: the Beastman, Evil-Lyn, Skeletor, He-Man, Teela, and Man-at-Arms. The Battle Cat and the Prince Adam with Sky Sled did not come with a mini comic. The mini comic was nice, the art is nice, the story, however, was much too short. I think it should have been at least twice as long. The other criticism is that this is the same comic book for all 6 characters that it came with, exactly the same. So that was a missed opportunity with more story potential if there was a different comic book for each character. It could have been a 6-part story, maybe an 8-part story if we included the Battle Cat and Prince Adam with Sky Sled. That would have provided another incentive for people to buy all of the action figures in the wave. So, too bad that's a missed opportunity. So, all in all, it's a pretty nice wave of action figures. There are a couple of things I didn't quite like about it. The sword with Prince Adam, it looks like the original, kind of a pink power sword, but this one is a full power sword, and the handle is too big for him to actually hold, so I have part of the upper part of the sword wedged into his hand there. So that's the only way I can really get it to stay in place. The other problem is the sky sled. I like the sky sled. I like the flight stand that it has, although the bottom part, I'm afraid, will click into place, and if it clicks into place, I can't remove it without breaking it. So I have it very carefully balanced, and I did not click the flight stand part all the way into the sandy base. The problem with the sky sled is it has the interchangeable parts to switch from heroic warriors to evil warriors, so that's a nice feature, but I think most people would like to have several sky sleds for both the heroic warriors and several more for the evil warriors, and then put their own action figures on it. So the way it was packaged is, in order to have several sky sleds, people would have several Prince Adams. And Prince Adam is a single character. It would have been better with a troop builder character instead. So I'm going to rank these from least favorite to favorite. So my least favorite is the Prince Adam with the sky sled, but that is mostly because of how it was packaged. I think the sky sled is a very nice vehicle, and it would be enjoyable to have more than one, to have some different displays and dioramas. Also, there's a problem with the power sword being too big for his hand. So that's just my least favorite out of the wave. My next least favorite is the Teela, and I like her headdress there, but the problem with that headdress is it's open in the back, which I think is just like the original toy, and it's nice that they're mimicking the original toys, but it would have been nice if they had a full headdress that covered the back of her head also. It would have looked nicer from all angles. And then the next least favorite is the Battle Cat. I like the Battle Cat. I like all the points of articulation, but I think some of the armor pieces are a bit too loose, so I've kept the rubber band piece that it was packaged with. I kept it there in order to try to keep the helmet on the head, because it has a tendency to fall off very easily. So that's just a technical problem. Other than that, the action figure looks pretty nice. And then the next least favorite would be Man-at-Arms. I like how Man-at-Arms looks, but his armor pieces have some flaps that you have to fold around it and slip through a slot, and that just tends to be kind of loose and falls apart pretty easily. So I'm not too happy about that, but it certainly looks cool. Then the next one is Skeletor. I like Skeletor, but the face sculpt on the Skeletor just looks a little weird. He doesn't look quite sinister enough with the way his mouth is open and the little paint that is meant to show his teeth. So that looks a little weird and not quite as good as it could have been. And the next one is Evil-Lyn. I like the Evil-Lyn action figure. It certainly looks nice. So I don't really have any particular problem with it. Just doesn't seem quite as nice as it could have been. And then the next one is the Beastman. I really like the Beastman action figure. And the whip looks like the original, even with the string there. Although I think they could have used a bendy wire there to display the whip in action, flying through the air. So that's a missed opportunity. Although I think they're trying to mimic the original toy, but maybe they went a little too far with that part. Also, these spikes on his arms are the same system that's used on the Man-at-Arms, so those are a little bit annoying where they kind of slip and fall sometimes. So my favorite out of the wave is the He-Man action figure, although my criticism with the He-Man action figure is that I think his hair is a bit too blonde, too bright blonde. Also, the facial feature doesn't look quite right, not quite like the original. But other than that, I think that's my favorite out of this wave. So, thank you for watching my overview and ranking of the Masters of the Universe Origins Wave 1 action figures. Please like the video, leave a comment, let me know which one is your favorite, and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my future reviews and overviews and rankings and commentary. I'll see you next time, action figure fans.